Hi friends, next step in our pumpkin growing process, we are going to be mulching the pumpkin patch today. I picked out some mulch that I really like and I'm excited about, and we're going to be adding that to our patch. There's a couple of different reasons why we're doing this. I looked at my vines a little bit earlier this week and noticed that something wasn't quite right. So did a little bit of research. The first thought as to what the problem could be would be vine borers, these little bugs that will bore into the vines of things like pumpkins, of squash, because they're hollow inside. They lay their eggs, the eggs hatch, they eat their way out. It really is quite brilliant if you think about it in terms of reproduction and ensuring the next generation has a good start, but it's no good for your garden. It's no good for your pumpkin patch. So did a little bit of research, a little bit of plant surgery, did not find any other evidence of vine borers. So we're really excited about that, which leads me to sort of my next possible conclusion, and that is that we're dealing with rot, a little bit of vine rot and some leaf rot as a result of all the Florida rain that we get almost daily throughout the summer. Obviously, pumpkins need a lot of water, all plants do, but they don't like getting their feet wet, and they certainly don't like to sit in a sauna all day long, and I can't blame them. Unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do about the natural weather, the natural water levels that I get in my backyard. So looking for ways to kind of combat that, being able to keep the soil nice and moist, but also lessen the amount of wet sogginess that these vines have to sit on. So I picked out some mulch, and I'll take you guys through kind of that and how I made that decision. And I'm hoping that what this will do will be to give the pumpkins a nice dry area to rest on, the vines, the leaves, the flowers, and then hopefully later on the fruit, while also retaining that moisture underneath the soil. So I'm hoping it'll make a nice barrier level for that optimal pumpkin growth. So let's go into the patch and I'll take you through it. All right, everybody, so just want to give you an idea of what sort of prompted my little call to action, the idea that something needs to be happening in the pumpkin patch that wasn't before. Take a look down here at this vine. Let's just see if you can see it in there. So as you can see, it's been kind of split up the center, and that's because right here I started noticing some yellowing, and I started noticing a little bit of gunk kind of coming out of it. And a lot of times that's a surefire sign of vine borers, where they go in, they lay their eggs, and we can actually see kind of excrement coming out of it. It's super gross. So what I did was I took just an X-Acto blade and I cut along the edge of the vine to see if I could find any larvae on the inside. And I couldn't, so that's a good thing. But we also then had to kind of figure out what was going on over here to make such a sad little base for our pumpkin. So a little bit more research, looking at the rain levels, it really makes a lot of sense that could actually also be the early signs of rot, and we don't want that, right? If they're sitting in that sticky, goopy mud, that's not good for our vines at all. So what we're gonna do today is lay down some mulch, and again, hopefully what that's gonna do is allow for some dryness on the top level for our vines and for our leaves to sit on, while also helping to retain that moisture in the soil so they can still get what they need from the rainfall. We've had a lot of really dry days lately, which is nice for me because I can kind of control the water levels, but this following week is supposed to be rainy just about all day, every day, because of Florida. So we're gonna do this now, and hopefully that'll kind of get them set up for success while things get a little swampy over here. Ooh. All right, so this is the mulch that I have picked out. All right, I'm gonna be using cypress mulch for this project. For me, it came down to two variety options. We had cypress and we had pine that were gonna work the best in this area. Both are really great options, but for my area, for the kind of water needs that I was hoping that this would provide, the cypress is gonna be the better bet, only because it's supposed to hold out a little bit longer. It doesn't break down as quickly as the pine would, with multiple dousings of water throughout the day. And again, pine's gonna hold up just fine, but over time, this is gonna last me a little bit longer. And also the cypress smells really good. So that didn't hurt either. The cypress is also a little bit lighter in color, and so it's not going to retain as much heat our pumpkins are already getting plenty of that. The darker the area, the more heat's going to retain, and we don't want too much for our pumpkins. So a little bit lighter color, a little bit more hardiness is going to be what we're hoping for to use in this area. So here's hoping it works. All right, everybody, so what we did here is for each mound we gave the roots and the stems just a little bit of clearance here, so it's just the soil there. We still want a lot of water in there, but again, that primary purpose for this mulching is to retain the soil that's underneath the vines and the leaves without making them sit in the muck, right? We don't want that. So I have just kind of taken a look at which way each guy has sort of decided to start growing, and sort of just guided the mulch underneath them there, and then further out in the direction that they're wanting to go. So as you can see, this guy's growing out this way a little bit. This little gate area will eventually need to be removed, which is fine. Over here, kind of the same deal, right? Just the mulch underneath the vines, underneath the leaves. We're leaving the stems exposed. Okay, this guy is growing this way, so again, we kind of fitted some underneath him there. This one is growing out here, so we extended it this way. This one is growing towards that part of the fence. Good thing these fences are easily removable because these guys are going to get nice and long. We want to see a lot of vine growth here. And then this little guy, not getting very far, but still going strong. It does look like he's moving this way, so we added the mulch around this side of his stem, right, as opposed to everywhere. Okay, and we can add more as we go. And once they kind of reveal where they're feeling their happiest, we can kind of cater to them that way too. So just a couple of things to consider. Hopefully this works out.